Welcome students to semester 2 and welcome to assessment theory. My name is Mohamed-Ryklief and I'll be your lecturer for this course. I've created this video as a way for me to interact with you, although it's quite one-sided, but also as a way for me to outline what the semester is going to look like for assessment theory, what you can expect and what I'm hoping for us to achieve by the end of this course. I'm starting off with a definition of assessment because I think that's an important starting point. And if you look for yourself, you'll see that there are many definitions of assessment, but I chose these two because I think that they touch on the areas that I find is quite important. And for me, what is important about assessment is that it's continuous, that it's a planned process, and the process is really there to evaluate the learner or the individual for the sake of their own development and for the sake of improvement. Assessment should not just be done for the sake of doing it, but it should actually have a goal. You should try to achieve some kind of plan or support plan for the individual that you are assessing. And so that's really around what the Department of Basic Education defines assessment as. Then I found another one that I quite liked from the University of Delaware, and they talk about assessment being a process of gathering and discussing information from various sources to develop a deep understanding around the student. So to know where the student is, what they need to do to move from where they are to where they need to be, and how we as the individual teachers, educators, or schools can help them achieve that goal. I found some other quotes on assessment that I thought was quite nice. If you look at them, you can see that they're not focused on what the child is able to display in terms of their grades, but it focuses on how we as the teachers use assessment to modify our instruction, for example, to ensure that the child is not left behind, to do the assessment in a way that makes the child this puts the child at the center of the process. And importantly, the one that I find particularly important is the one that talks about self-assessment. I find self-assessment is important not only for the children in our class, but also for us as educators to look at where we are, how we're getting along, if we're meeting the expectations of not only the department or our HODs, but also of the students within our classroom space. These are the units we will be focusing on for this module. This is in your module guide, but I thought I would present it here so we could have a look at it just to prepare ourselves for what is coming within this semester. So we start off with the introductory unit, which is what we are doing at the moment. We then move on to unit 1, which is around learning theories and approaches. We then move on to the types of assessment, followed by the policy documents which guide assessment and assessing. Then assessment in relation to teaching and learning, the assessment results, fair and unbiased assessment of learners' abilities, and then self-assessment and the assessment of the teaching programs. And of course, all of this ends with a summative task, which you'll be working on from now until the end of the course. So what are the course objectives? Importantly for me, any course, any learning situation, you need to be a reflective and reflexive practitioner, student, or individual. And what does that mean? Being reflective means we're looking at where we are, what our areas of growth are, what our areas of success are. Being reflective and understanding where we are. And also taking it a step further and being reflexive. And reflexive is about actually doing something to perhaps move yourself out of that area that you are very challenged in and to move yourself to success. So that you're not only reflecting and finding out, okay, this is where I am, but you're actually putting action to it thereafter. Beyond that, we also want to learn about the theories and approaches to assessment. We want to learn about the types of assessment, and these will all be covered in the units as we progress through this course. The hope is also that as you work through the content, that you find out the answers to these questions. What is assessment? Why do we assess? And really looking at the intent of assessment. Oftentimes assessment is just done to tick the box, but what is the reason that we want to assess our learners? How we can assess? What the purpose of assessment is, and that's quite similar to why we assess. What should the outcome of assessment be? Where does assessment take place, and how do we provide feedback? Because feedback is also extremely important for the individual to move to the next level of their academic or any type of progress in their journey. A good starting point is to look at what assessment should be about, or what it should entail. It should be an ongoing process. It should also provide you with information with where your learner is at the moment. In order to track progress, we need to know where the person starts, and often we use baseline assessments, which is a starting point, to really benchmark where the learner is and what their progress is throughout the semester or the course or the year, whatever the case is. Assessment should always build positivity and confidence. It shouldn't make the person feel overwhelmed and upset. So it's important that when you provide feedback around assessment, that you consider how the person will experience that feedback and experience the whole process of assessment. It should promote further learning. So when you do provide that feedback, the learner should want to learn more, do better, do more research rather than feeling, I need to give up because I'm just a failure. It should be for the educator too, so you should also be assessing yourself as you go along, not only in terms of how you've presented to the learner, but what your learning journey has been. It should promote collaboration, and it also needs to importantly take into consideration the learner's barriers. So what barriers are in place that affects the child's ability to show you their potential or show you their ability? Because we have to take barriers into consideration, because it does sometimes or oftentimes put a child in a different space to a child that doesn't have barriers. Okay, so I'm moving a little bit away from the specifics on assessment theory and then just looking at the general expectations. What do I expect from you as a student? I expect critical engagement, for you to really grapple with the content. Talk to me and tell me what you think about the content. Do you agree? Because oftentimes we do agree with what we read, but also we disagree. And it's okay to disagree, but you need to provide reasons for why you disagree. For you to be a reflective and reflexive student, we spoke about that a little bit earlier. Be open to critique. I love giving feedback, and I like giving specific individualized feedback. And oftentimes people might take it as criticism, but the critique is really to help you improve in your academic journey. I would expect you to ask lots of questions. We can use the student forum on the module page, or if you don't feel comfortable with that, you're welcome to also message me privately in Moodle. But to ask questions, if you have a question around assessment, if you have a question around the content, please feel free to ask me. Challenge me if you feel that what I'm saying doesn't make sense, or if you disagree, you are more than welcome to challenge me. You need to share your learning. So if you find something that perhaps I haven't included on the module, you are more than welcome then to share that with the other students on the student forum or with me, and I can then share it with the rest of the students from there. I do expect participation, and hopefully somewhere in all of this we'll have some fun. Sorry, students, for the pop-up in the previous slide. I just had a notification popping up, but I hope you can all just ignore that and work around that. Okay, so what can you expect from me? I'm open to reflection from you. I'm open to hearing your critique of me as the lecturer. It's a good learning process for me. I'm open to you suggesting something that you'd like to add to the unit. I'm open to engagement on any level, may it be personally or academic related. I am happy to provide advice and guidance, and also happy to receive advice and guidance from you. I am definitely going to make mistakes from day one, and I'm happy for you to point that out to me. We are adults, we know everyone makes mistakes, so definitely you can expect that from me as well. Hopefully we'll find humor in what we are going to be journeying through for the semester, and you can definitely expect for me to be your cheerleader, because I want you to all be successful, not only with this course but with your complete academic journey at TOGI. Okay, so another general note: how do I present my content? I always consider learning differences. It's very important that when you're assessing or presenting information, that you consider that people are different and people prefer things that perhaps are not mainstream. So a lot of academics is reading large volumes of text, which is definitely expected, but I also like to mix it up a little bit. So as you can see, I like making videos because videos have visual content, they have an auditory component, and also they're a bit more engaging than just written work. So I do add a lot of videos into my units and into my courses. I also use some YouTube content, so things that are already created, I will use that as well. Then I'll create some written content of my own, so tables, guiding documents, other policy documents and so on. I'll provide that for you as well, or provide breakdowns for you as well. Then I also use external sources, so journal articles, textbook excerpts, website blogs, whatever I find will be useful in the course, I'll include them as well with the necessary references, of course. So a big question, how will you be assessed? So assessments will be quizzes, written tasks, they'll be in the form of PowerPoint presentations, video submissions, and the feedback will be very specific. As I said earlier, I'll be as honest and direct as I can, and you're welcome to challenge me if you feel that the feedback is perhaps not what you expected, or you want me to explain why I provided that type of feedback. I'm very happy for us to have that conversation. And that's it, short and sweet. I just wanted to give you an idea of what we'll be covering and for you to get a chance to hear who your lecturer is, because of course it is quite difficult for some students not to have more regular contact with the lecturer. But I am available to you. You are welcome to contact me at any time. Please use the student forum to engage with me and your classmates or your module mates. And the best of luck for everything for this that you're going to be working on this semester, both in your personal life and in your academic capacity. I wish you the very best, and feel free to ask me questions about this course specifically, or how to navigate the other spaces that you are working in. Thank you for listening to the video, and good luck with the quizzes that follow.